So that lends itself very, very well. UID or NPR, we don't intend getting into that debate as to whose mandate it is to do that work. But surely, the identification is an important issue. Government recognizes that as an important issue to be sorted out, and that definitely removes the disparity in data, which is, the most important element of data, which is the citizen data or a person data. Now that by itself is not going to be it's a significant exercise in terms of the registry work that you're going to be doing, but doesn't give you any outcome just by identifying the citizen. The real outcome is going to come by only when you're going to have that whole ecosystem of applications running with it. The apps. I mean, take the example from phone. The phone itself, by itself, did not give you any outcome, or a smartphone did not give you any outcome till the time apps came around it. And that is where I think, a lot of cloud momentum can be generated or cloud can be leveraged. The whole ecosystem which is going to develop application, which is going to use the authentication interface which UID will put itself out with. The common service centers, in terms of checklist, I think 92,000 or 97,000 out of 100,000 which have already been set up. There are all kinds of debates, all kinds of views on common service centers, successful, not so successful, failures, etc. But one of the basic contention there has been in terms of what services have you provided as a backbone to common service centers for itself to become sustainable. And that is again something which points towards leveraging cloud and thereby kind of using this investment that you have already created in common service centers. NKN again, is a backbone which is, why I mention NKN is not because it is probably not just going to stay as an education phenomena. While it is going to connect learning centers, research centers, it is going to impact very, very critical areas of livelihood. Not just education, but health, poverty, and a whole lot of other things. And that itself creates, gives you a multi-gigabit kind of a backbone which can lend itself to the cloud deployment of applications and so on. Okay. So the top two layers that you see are perfect in terms of infrastructure or the momentum which is already there, which lends itself to the deployment of cloud. Okay. And the bottom one, which is I think very, very important to consider, is what the government has to respond to in terms of how they are going to take the e-governance momentum forward. Electronic delivery of services bill likely to become an act. The mandate in 5 years, 200 plus services across the entire country is a very huge mandate. I don't see the possibility of that getting achieved till the time you brought in some revolution in terms of how you're going to deliver that service. It's not going to work in a piecemeal, state by state or a department by department development of applications which might be very successful in their own right, but which are not replicable, which are not shared, which are not multi-tenanted. Okay? It has to happen. Otherwise, we are not going to reach there. We are not going to be able to meet that mandate which is proposed in the Electronic Delivery of Services Bill. So that's an important outside-in force which puts government to look at something like this. Online engagement and social networks. There are very interesting exercises which Government of India, different agencies have done, right? We know of Delhi Police, we know of Ministry of External Affairs, we know a whole lot of other agencies, local governments which have leveraged social networks, Planning Commission, Election Commission, all these leveraging online engagement and social networks to get their inputs. What I would like to comment here is that while the usage of popular social media is good, the government cannot stay restricted to the usage of that common social media, which is the likes of Facebook and Twitter. They are good because the kind of subscription that they have or the kind of network, just the sheer size of that network is very, very useful. But what governments have to look at is to create Just given you these examples so that we understand that what we need to do in terms of online engagement or social networks is to not just get restricted. I understand that DIT has undertaken citizen engagement and participatory government task forces. They're working on those documents and frameworks. But what is important here is to understand that these networks cannot be just restricted to the popular social media networks which we have available today. They can be windows, but governments have to look at very specific networks which they can establish for specific needs. And the last is the capacity building and the public-private partnership. Really the public-private partnership has been designed to augment the capacity to implement e-governance in the country. And if that PPP has to be successful, then it points towards technology which is more efficient in terms of deployment. And that's what we understand about cloud technology. It is efficient and cost effective. And therefore, if PPP is to succeed, then that enablement has to happen, that acceptance has to happen from government's point of view. So time is short, I will not go into the details, but primarily what I'm saying is, in summary, is that there are two forces which are pointing towards the next phase of e-governance: consumerization of IT with different device factors and people deciding how they are going to consume their services. They might want to just consume services through Facebook and nothing else at all. So that's one which is deciding. The other is, the momentum of cloud technologies. And the good part is that, there are these setups which are already there now, which may not have been intended from a cloud deployment point of view, but government, since it has them, it probably needs to look at how to, take this to that next level. And plus, obviously, there are other forces which are coming in from citizen side and from other side, to which government has to respond and therefore get this deployment in place. Thank you very much.